Image podcast, and I am your host, Myesha Price. And we have a special guest here with us today, Esquire Jennifer Downing-Mathis. Jennifer is currently a Deputy First Assistant Prosecutor with the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office. She began her legal career serving for the Honorable Paulette Sapp Peterson. She has been dedicated her life to this occupation for the past 25 years. She also, in her recognition of service and professionalism, she has also received numerous amount of awards. That's all the description I'm going to give you of her. Everything else, we're going to find out in the conversation. So all of you visionaries, welcome Jennifer. Jennifer, thank you so much for doing this and being our first guest on the podcast.
It's special. Thank you.
Listen, when I came up with the idea about doing the podcast, you were one of the very first people that came to mind. And I said, I don't know if she's going to do it, but what's the harm in asking?
That's right.
So that's what I did. I said, well, let's see if she said yes. I was like, yes, she said she'll do it.
And it's funny you thought that, because I'm kind of like, but you are a type of person that made me say yes.
Listen, and I appreciate it greatly. And for today, we're just going to dive in. I just want you to be who you are and be your authentic self. We ain't got to be attorney right now. Just be Jennifer. I'm sure it's embedded in you, so it's going to pop out anyway. So listen, everybody, I know as we get into this conversation, I want you to remember that these are Jennifer's thoughts. These have nothing to do with her occupation where she works with the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office. These are strictly her thoughts from her point and perspective. So with that being said, why don't you tell us who Jennifer is?
Who is she? It's a good question. And I say that because I just reached my milestone of 50 6 months ago. And I think I'm really starting to figure out who I am. I mean, it's a lifetime of, you do things just because you grow up and I have to finish school. I have to get good grades. I have to go to college. I have to get a job. You do a lot of have tos. And when we were talking before we started, and I mentioned that I'm at the end of my career, I'm a career prosecutor, which means 25 years, which is where I am. You have more time as you progress to figure out who you are,
right?
And to figure out who that is. So who is Jennifer? She's complicated. She's like most of us. She's feisty.
Okay.
Everybody will tell you that she's feisty. She's strong. She's smart. I don't take no for an answer. It's very hard for me to hear no. And part of that is being spoiled by my dad, because I was never told no by my dad.
You're like, what's that?
Yeah, I'm like, no. What do you mean? No. And just in my life, working harder for things, as we as Black women and Black people and Black and brown people sometimes have to do. I just don't take a no. And the flip side of that, I always say I'm a combination. My dad and my mom, both very strong, but my mom was the type of person that there's more than one way to skin a cat. And she would actually always say that. So, you try this way, that doesn't work. You don't sit there and pout. You try something else.
Absolutely.
You try another way. And I just think also just being resourceful as Black people, that's what we do. I mean, we make it work without a lot of things. We figure out how to rob Peter and pay Paul and make things work when things don't always work. So I think Jennifer is a combination of all of that. And, the Jennifer side that my friends know, I'm funny. I always have people cracking up. I will say a lot of crazy stuff. That's why I said, you want the real Jennifer to come watch it.
I want Jennifer. I want Jennifer.
So she's a lot, but she's a wife.
Okay.
She's an aunt. I say auntie mom to my nephews, and, a genuine good friend. I'm not one of those people that take friendships or relationships lightly. I don't consider myself phony. If I say I'm true to you or I'm going to do something and you're my friend, that's something that I mean.
Which I think it's very important, because having good friends is something very far from you that you can count on if you call them in the clutch,
or die.
Or even when it's good moments, sad moments. you know, exciting moments, they're there. And they're consistent across the board.
Absolutely.
And I always tell them, if your friends always agree with you, they ain't your friends.
No, that's true. You need those no people in your life that tell you, no, you're wrong.
Right.
And you shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to do that. Maybe you don't want to wear that. You do need those friends in your life. Sometimes I'm that friend. It's hard, but I'll say it. But I do always try to say it with love or with care, not really hurt anybody's feelings. I'll preface it like, okay, you might not like what I'm about to say, but I'm the one to tell you. And, you know, sometimes we bicker back and forth like friends or like sisters do. But those are the type of people you need in your life.
I'm still working on that say it with love.
I soften. Everybody's like, I like how you did that. You said it, but you softened it.
Yeah, you see, some people got them nice words that they can use, and it comes out totally different. I always tell people, if you don't really want the real, like, I would have to ask the question, like, my previous, before we get to that, like, do you want me to tell you the truth? Or you want me to tell you what really makes you feel good?
Yeah.
Because if you want the truth, okay, I have no problem with that. Now, that make you feel good part, I'm not going to ask somebody else.
And I think it's, too, because of my career, and we talk about that also, I'm that different person where I have to be straightforward, sometimes harsh. I think I try to work against that in my personal life. And so that makes me overcompensate and try to be nicer when I deliver a message.
Gotcha.
So I think that's part of it too.
But that's a good thing. Yeah. And knowing the career path that you have chosen to do, growing up, what did you want to be? Yeah, or was this what Jennifer wanted to be?
This is gonna be funny. Jennifer, now I was a child in the 80s and the 90s, so hip hop was new and a big deal. So I at one point wanted to be a backup dancer.
Shut your mouth.
A rapper. That's what was hot. That's what was popular in the 90s. So I had dreams of that. I was always musical. I took piano, but I took classical piano. So I probably could have been an Alicia Keys back then, although there was no Alicia Keys, except I'm not the greatest singer. Although I think I sing quite well. But I could have done the music part, the writing.
So you're the shower singer or you in front of the people singer?
If I have enough drinks.
Everybody.
Like the shower singer, the through the house singer. If I have my iPads on, I'm singing like I'm Patti LaBelle or Rita Baker in a concert, and my husband is like,
"Oh God, what is happening here?"
But I probably could have written music and played music, which looking back now, like you look at a Candy Burris, I probably could have made tons of money doing that had I known, but. I mean, I'm a kid in Mercer County. I didn't know anything about that life.
Right.
So something musical, performer, that type thing. In high school, that's something that I really enjoyed. But it was also the Cosby decade. And it was actually the wife, Camille Cosby, Felicia Rashad, who was a lawyer. And in watching the Cosby Show as a kid, I just saw her and that I knew that's what I wanted to do. I thought I was going to be exactly like her, be a corporate lawyer with the briefcase, you know, be in New York and the boardrooms and all that. That's what my vision was. I ended up being a government attorney as a prosecutor, which is something completely different. But at that point, probably... I guess senior year-ish, I probably knew I wanted to be a lawyer. But again, I wasn't quite sure what that meant. I mean, you just say, I want to be a lawyer. So it was 4 years of college. And then after college, it's 3 years of law school. And there's the bar exam. And then you start practicing. So in college, that's when I really made the decision that I knew I was going to go to law school. It was also a time when... I mean, I graduated college in 94, so we were in a recession. There were no jobs out there. I went to a business college. People were going to work in a video store, which kids don't even know what a video store is anymore.
Like, they like Blockbusters? What's that?
Yeah, Blockbusters is like a job with a college degree. So I figured I'll stay in school a little bit longer since there really weren't any fantastic jobs out there at the time. So that was one of my decisions as well. I also had advice from people that just said, you know what, life is going to get in the way at some point. If you have the opportunity to go straight through while you're in college mode, study mode, testing mode, just do it. So I did have that luxury and that opportunity. That's what I ended up doing. going straight through. It was a battle. It was tough. I didn't like law school at all. Not one day of it, not 1 minute of it. Every semester I was like, I'm done. I'm not going back.
I'm not doing this.
I'm not doing this. No. or it would be, I can't do it. It was one or the other. I'm not doing it, or, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. What are we going to do? But a lot of people do feel that way. Mm-hmm. As lawyers and as women, my parents were good in putting me around specifically Black women that were lawyers. The judge that I clerked for, Sap Peterson, is sort of like a second mother to me. I met other attorneys. My dad would sit me down like, my daughter's in law school. She wants to be a lawyer. Talk to her. He was in law enforcement, so he knew different lawyers. And it's just that kind of sisterhood and that kind of support of people who've done what you want to do, telling you that you can do it. Even now when I lecture in the community or with schools, I always tell people it's important for kids to just see someone that looks like that.
Absolutely.
Doing what we do. Mm-hmm. And I think that gets lost a lot of times, that it makes a difference if I go into a school versus one of my white counterparts.
Absolutely.
Depending on the school district, when children see a brown girl, a Black girl that looks like them, and they're like, wow, I can do that too. Just for me, it was a character on TV, but I saw a Black woman playing a lawyer on TV, and that changed my decision of making me want to be a lawyer.
Right.
So I always say that the vision of seeing someone doing what you do is just immeasurable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like you said, for them to see someone that looks like them, it's not far-fetched anymore.
Right.
It makes them believe that, okay, if they did it, I definitely can do it. If they know that, okay, this person came from the same state and town that I've come from, then guess what? Evidently, it's not unachievable.
Right.
And even with that, do you think you said your dad was in law enforcement? Did that kind of like also play a part in your decision?
Not with me being a lawyer per se. That was what helped make my decision to be a prosecutor, which is a different type of lawyer, a special type of lawyer. Neither one of my parents went to college. I had older parents. My sister and I are 12 years apart. She's older. So I just came along kind of like an only child. Older parents couldn't help me with homework, didn't go to college. So that's why I say for people just to see someone, I didn't come from a family of doctors and lawyers like a lot of our white counterparts do. I just had parents that knew you're going to do better than I did. We're able to provide this for you. You're going to go to school. And I did like to talk a lot. As a kid, all of my report cards.
No, for real, Jennifer.
Jennifer talks too much. Everything's good, but Jennifer's always talking. And my mom would always say, I like to argue as well. So putting those skills that you have and trying to match that with a profession, I think that's important too, to know what, I can't sing. So I'm not going to go pursue that because I can think I'm the greatest singer in the world, but I'm not. But I knew I could talk. I like to write. I wrote little books as a child. My mom was always saying I was going to be this author, which there's still time in life to do that.
Absolutely. That could be your second act.
Yeah, I would bind my little books and draw my little pictures and write stories. So I think that putting those skills, knowing that's what a lawyer does, that helped me decide. I always wanted to make a difference. I mean, I don't want to sound the wrong way, but I always wanted to be important. I wanted to be an executive, a professional, someone out there that's like, who's that? Who's that girl? So there were a lot of things. I mean, what do you know about a lawyer? They're important. They carry a briefcase. They make a lot of money. Some of it was that, but it was also knowing that I did want to be involved in law enforcement because that's what my dad did. He absolutely refused, would not let me be a police officer. That was really my dream. And he said, no way. Because, again, he was older, and back then, that was just something you did. He was in the military, and what do you do when you get out? You get a job in law enforcement. He didn't have the opportunities that I had. And he's like, no, you're in college. I want more for you.
Got you.
So my little roundabout way was to be a prosecutor, where I am law enforcement. I work with police officers every day. I have police powers, but I'm not a police officer. Right. So it was my little workaround.
You're still in there. Still in there. Just another way.
Yeah,
he went this way.
Still another way.
You said, I can go that way.
Yeah, that's I'm not taking no for an answer. So myself like, well, if I can't do this, I'll do that. So yeah, that was my inspiration. And 25 years later, here I am still doing it.
I mean, listen, evidently you're doing something right. 25 years in doing it and they ain't firing you. You're still there. So that's a good thing.
Someday.
I'm sure it being, you working in that industry, it can sometimes be challenging because to know that you are a female, not just any female, but an African-American female
what you say?
in a male-dominated field.
Yes.
How did you deal with those challenges of working in that industry and knowing that, you coming from not so much a father who was in law enforcement, but like, hey, I know what I saw on TV. I know I want to be important, but didn't realize that what comes with that being important.
Correct. And you learn trial by fire. You learn as it happens. And I don't think there's a Black attorney in this state or in any state that I'm any different in what I'm about to say and what I experienced. Mm-hmm. But being mistaken for the defendant or the defendant's family, being mistaken for the court clerk, for any other person than the prosecutor. When you walk into a courtroom with an arm full of files, dressed to the nines, heels, and everything else, there's that stereotype and that assumption that you're not the prosecutor.
Right.
A lot of people who hadn't met me before, they hear Jennifer Downing, they think I'm a white girl. Mm-hmm. They've heard me on the phone. They think I'm a white girl. Mm-hmm. So they're sitting in court looking around for Jennifer Downing. And I'm, hello. It's me. I'm her. So, there's been, even judges are waiting for the prosecutor and it's like, I'm sitting here, that would be me. They think you're an intern. It's just that implicit bias, that extra layer that women and Black women have in the workplace. Mm-hmm. We are sometimes, and I've gone through it in my career, the thought that I'm not as competent. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely not the supervisor or the boss. I mean, right. I've had white attorneys work under me and they're like, yeah, I need to ask my boss. And we're all standing in a conference. And then they're like, yeah, that would be her right there. Talk to her. She's the boss. I'm, just the AP. Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Right. So, and that unfortunately still happens. I mean, from my first year till even now, just being mistaken for somebody else other than the prosecutor happens all the time, happens to lawyers all the time. Being challenged. I mean, like I said, there's lawyers, there's the law, but law enforcement, police officers is still a male dominated field. It's still a white male dominated field.
Absolutely.
So before I was deputy first, I was also chief of one of the units that I supervised. And as a deputy first, what that means for everybody is I'm third in command. There's a prosecutor, a first assistant, and I'm one of two deputy first. Mm-hmm. So when the final answer needs to be the final answer comes from me, when there's a decision that needs to be made on a case or something like that, it has to come from me. And throughout my career, unfortunately.
So when you say that term, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but when you say you got the prosecutor and then you have the
first assistant, and then I'm one of two deputy first assistants.
But the prosecutor's hired?
Yes,
they're okay, so you're here, there. Gotcha.
Then there's his first assistant, and then we're the next level. Myself, and there's another deputy first. So we're third in command of the office. But having, police chiefs go toe-to-toe with chiefs of police or captains or lieutenants that don't necessarily want to take my interpretation of the law from me, explaining why we are not charging or why we need to be charging in a certain case, that type of behavior is still out there, unfortunately. And it's a reality that it's like the assumption, I don't know what I'm talking about. Right. And that goes to also...
Even after 25 years.
Yeah. Right. So sometimes I have to say that. Like, I'm not new here. I've been here longer than you.
Yeah, I've been here for a minute,
But on the flip side, I've then had people actually say that I call them stupid. And I don't even use that word. I've never called you stupid.
I guess the way you made it
I might broke you down and explained it in a way that you felt stupid. But I didn't say that. So there's always just that that dance of how do you say something, how you explain something. Sometimes you just have to put down the hammer and say, I am so-and-so, and I said this is how it's going to go. But then other times, if you're working with these people day in and day out, year after year, you have to try to cajole them sometimes. But the other thing, too, is you have to know what you're talking about. You have to be smarter than everybody else. The judge that I clerked for, she always had this saying, and it drove me nuts, but it's so true. It was RTB, read the book. So anytime you asked her a question, you better have had RTB, read the book, before you came to her. And that could be the book that had the cases in it. That could be the statute book. But you have to know that inside out. And even now, I'm like RTB, because I can tell you something, but then I have to pull out the statute, flip to it, the number page, and go, okay, it's statute this number, this page, and here's why. Because it's not always accepted just because I said it.
I got to tell you the law. I got to show you.
I have to show you. And I will show you because I know where it is. So that kind of experience, unfortunately, is common for Black and brown attorneys, especially women. The other thing is just faith and perseverance, just knowing. I have a poster in my office that just says perseverance, and I look at it like once a day, that I knew this is something that I wanted to do, and I know my worth. I know I'm good at it. And you just have to persevere through those hard days, through those difficult times. One of the other things, too, is support. We have the Association of Black Women Lawyers of New Jersey. It's Black female lawyers throughout the state of New Jersey, where we have a group. I was president last year. I'm immediate past president. But that provides the mentorship and the support that's specific to us as Black women that we need. We can share issues and talk about things and do trainings that are geared around ourselves and our issues. Having those mentors and friends in your life as well, that you can pick up the phone and kind of check yourself, like, guess what so-and-so just said to me? How do I write that back? Or, even sending emails like, here's what I want to say. And it's like, okay,
now, I need you to tell me the nice words.
Take that out. Don't say this. Don't say that. So having that support group within the office and outside of the office, to be able to have that support, because you do need it on those tough days. We all have those days when we're like, I just can't do this anymore. I can't explain anymore. Why am I questioned all the time? I mean, you think about it, it's very demeaning if you're all dressed up and walking into a courtroom and then you just get put down a scratch. And it's like, really? And it does not happen to my white counterparts. Nope. It doesn't happen to my white girl counterparts. And that's a reality. And I have to tell people, I'm not Angela Davis, power to the people with the fist or anything like that. This is the reality of a Black woman who's trying to work in a very racially diverse county like Mercer County. These are the things that happen to you quite frequently.
Right. And I think it's across the board. Definitely when it comes to females, and definitely Black women in power, where people just assume that you're working for somebody, or you're not qualified enough to maintain this, this position. Because I know myself, like, I'll have some people come in and, they'll sit down and be like, oh, so is this your business? Or like, who do you work for? I'm like, me,
that would be it.
I'm her.
And that's what I'm saying. It's not an experience that's necessarily, just mine. It's all Black women, all Black people that we've seen it. When I was buying my first house, my own realtor was like, you're not really a lawyer. You're a paralegal, right? Oh. I was like, that, 3 years of law school and degree says I'm a lawyer. So apparently, and she was older. I'm not trying to give her a pass, but she was an older white woman. She had apparently gone home and told her daughter, who was mortified. So the next time that we went looking for houses, she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I was telling my daughter what I said to you. It's just that you look so young. No, it's just that I look so Black. Like,
that's a nice way to say it. But I knew exactly what you meant, and you knew what you meant.
Exactly.
That's your daughter probably told you. Did you really just say that to that lady?
You did not say that to her. So lots of things. Generational upbringing plays into it. The media. What do you see on TV? How many Black female lawyers do you see on TV? How many Black female prosecutors do you see on TV? What does the world and the community think of us as Black people based upon what they see. What do they see on the news? It's always, a white prosecutor or whoever and a Black person getting charged with something, or white police officer and a Black defendant. Mm-hmm. So it's just all day. Like, so my friends and I sometimes say, we're so tired. And then the judge I worked for is, obviously older than me. Is like, you can't be tired. We weren't tired. Like, we kept going.
But my tired is different.
Yeah.
Because every day I have to defend who I am,
right,
what I do,
right,
because of the color of my skin.
Right.
My skin tells you that I'm not qualified.
Right. Right.
My features as a female tell you I'm not qualified.
Or that I'm an affirmative action pick, or she's only here because of this, or all of that.
Like, I couldn't have worked and got to this position the same way you worked hard at.
Right. Or the same way that you got to connect is fine.
Right.
You all know somebody's daddy, cousin, whatever. But if we do that, then it's like
somebody got them in the office.
No, somebody got you in this office too. So zip it and
sometimes I be just sitting there. I have to look at people and I just my expressions are fully displayed on my face.
The masks were great because nobody could see.
But it was still bad.
I would get a text like, fix your face, and I'm like, oh.
But it was still bad because my eyebrows and my eyes would pretty much tell you, like, and my friends would tell me all the time, they were like it's crazy because I was sitting in church and the mask was on and I'd be looking like, They were like, yo, fix your face. And I'm like, how do you know what? I said, no disrespect to the Muslim community, but I'm about to start wearing a muggar and just cover up and put shades on so then you can't see my eyes, eyebrows, nothing.
Yep.
Because apparently my face just tells everything how I feel.
Same. Or when somebody says something, everybody's like, oh,
yeah,
she's about to go. I know you really did.
Or they see somebody ask you something, they like this.
Yeah,
No.
So
my brother used to say that to me. And it's funny because me and my brother are 2 years apart. But my brother used to be like, he'll see somebody talking to me. He'd be like, no, like, don't talk to her. There. Don't talk to her. I'd be like, what's wrong? I can talk to people.
Yeah. But like I said, I think I have mellowed. Excuse me. I have mellowed and I do it a different way now. I'm still going to break you all the way down. I'm learning not to raise my voice, not to get excited. Especially like in the store, if I'm out and I feel disrespected or something like that. Oh, you want to get
all fire for
all of it, but with a smile, like okay, yeah. So
I'm still working on that part. Sometimes they catch me on a good day, but sometimes I'm like, that ain't really what you want.
Yeah. Some of my coworkers are like, you took that really well. I'm proud of you. You took that really well, and I was like, you're right, I did. See, I'm doing better.
I deserve an award for my progress here, people.
Yes. It's definitely a work in progress.
So it's like every day it seems like you have to shift your crown just to make sure and adjust it to make sure work on the temperaments. Okay, I'm not gonna fire off right now.
Right.
All right. Let me take a deep breath.
Yes.
Because not only, again, it's something that you wanted to do, but I think sometimes we don't always equate everything that goes into it. Being who you have desired to be. But showing up as your authentic self in it, it's like, do I stand out amongst the crowd and be who I am? Right. Or do I go along with playing ball and playing nice?
Right.
Because that's the safe thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I have to be me. And I'll say, I'll be honest, I paid for it because everyone knows. Now, there are people that give it to them, say straight, no chaser. Mm-hmm. There are people that do that in a more bold fashion than I do. Like I said, I'm still going to do it. But, even in my office, I've been, I don't want to say kind of a loner, but people know I'm not going to follow the crowd. Jen's not going for that. Jen's going to say this. And I'm fine with that. It does take time. Like I said, being older and being in the profession longer, it takes time to get comfortable with it. But, your job is just your job. Who you are, what you bring into that job. And like I said, coming from a strong law enforcement father here and a tough grit, take no crap mother that I had, I tell people, and people tell me, they're like, oh, you gonna catch it. Because which one is on her shoulder today? Is it Sarah or is it Bob? and either way, you're going to get it. Because, bottom line, it was like, respect people. That whole thing. Treat people like you want to be treated. Treat people with respect.
Absolutely.
But once you disrespect me,
I can't help you.
All bets are off.
Yeah.
You're just going to get what you're going to get. Because my mom would always say, no, she didn't care who they were. She said, everybody puts on their pants one leg at a time.
There you go.
Nobody is better than you. Don't you walk around and thinking people are better than you. She said, keep your head up. You march. And she would. If the president were in this room right now, she'd walk right up to them and be like, hi, I'm so-and-so. She had just that kind of internal thing within her, which I'm getting it more as I get older. Because I'd be like, Mommy, come back here. Like, at one point, she had walked up to one of the governors at an event. She's a little bitty thing, 5 feet tall, shorter than me. Walked right up to him, shook his hand, got a picture. And I'm like, I'm a lawyer. This is my event. And she walked up to the attorney general, got a picture, smiling. There was just no stopping her and no fear.
But that part of her was still embedded in you because you still walk with that same measure of strength. Like you had both of them, like you said. Yeah. You don't know which one's going to show up today in both good and bad because you may, in days where the milder side would be like, oh, just going to walk. I'll just lay back. And she's like, you walk up and you go ahead with all the confidence.
Even if it would be like, okay. But she would always say, you don't take no stuff from anybody, and don't take any wooden nickels, which everybody's like, what does that mean? But don't be fooled. If someone tries to present something to you and you just go for it and skip along, and you think it's a nickel, but it's really it's a wooden nickel. So she always said that, don't take any wooden nickels.
And I think it's a good thing, for that balance that you have and that it has now created. Because if you had one without the other, that's not gonna go well. Yeah. So, I totally understand it because hearing you talk, I'm like, it sounds like I'm talking to about. She's talking about me. Because I had zero filters. I tell people, like, I tried to not be funny. I was like, I don't want to live like some people like, oh, I want to live to 100. I'm like, I don't. Yeah. Because I think me getting to probably about 70, if I have no filter now,
it's going to get worse.
By the time I reach 70, 80, it's you don't. You're in danger. You're in real danger. Like I am a little bit more control with it now. Yeah. Then you can forget it. Yeah. It ain't no control. They're like, did that old lady just say that?
And yes, I did. Because she's an old lady. So what happened?
And even now, I tell people all the time, I say, I was raised to respect my elders, but I'm telling you now, if my elders get disrespectful, you're going to find out that there's another side. Absolutely. Like, don't try me.
Absolutely. That's good. Don't try me.
Just please don't try me. Yep. Because I will tell you with grace, listen, I was raised to respect my elders, but what you're not going to do is you're not going to be disrespectful because this is what you're about to get is disrespect.
And it's always, don't start nothing with beating.
That's it.
I don't go out there looking for fights.
That's it.
I don't go out there looking for arguments or attacking people. People will tell you, like, she's so quiet. She's so mellow. But when you come for me or come after me, then you're just going to get what you're going to get.
What's that slogan? I think it was Housewives. Kenya Moore said, don't come for me unless I send for you. Listen, do not do it. Because if you come for me, I don't know if this really what you want. Yeah. But okay.
And I will say, like I was starting to say, I've done it and I paid for it because then you get the reputation. She's bossy. She's aggressive. Mm-hmm. She's mean. She's the B word. And then it's, again, when I was running this unit, everybody's like, I don't want to go work for her. Oh my gosh, you're going to send me there. Once they came and worked under my unit, everybody was like, best unit I've ever been in. She helps you. She's this, she's that. But people have these stereotypes in this persona and they just make up their idea about me because of a story they heard.
Or somebody told them,
that's got his feelings hurt because I was right and they were wrong. And that's what I'll say. I'm sorry. And it's usually a he. Sorry, you guys' little feelings hurt, but it is what it is.
Right.
But they'll hear those stories, think all these terrible things about me, or like I said, you get that reputation that, she's this, she's that, when men show that same behavior, those same characteristics.
And they get a pass.
They get a pass. They're not judged at all. They're confident. They're this, they're that. So that's a gender woman thing as well as a race thing as well.
Right.
Like I said, the Black woman gets the double whammy that we are Black and we're a woman, but we get those stereotypes about us all the time.
Wow.
And that's what it is, a stereotype.
Yeah, that when it all boils down, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Next thing is, for me, is if you had to speak to the younger Jennifer, what would you tell her, or what advice would you give her?
I would tell her, first and foremost, that it's going to be okay. Even now, Jennifer is a worrier. Mm-hmm. She's always thinking and planning and what's it going to be and what's it going to happen.
You're not sisters in another way.
Probably. So I would tell her, don't sweat the small stuff. And I mean, it's hard even when I mentor and talk to young girls. We worry about the way that we look and the clothes that we have. And oh my gosh, our hair, and we got a pimple. I mean, those things, when you were a teenager, you'd be in the bed for a day like, oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. So yeah, as you grow older, none of that stuff is important. Don't sweat the small stuff. I would also tell my younger self to network more. And it's not that I didn't know to network, because people always tell you that you got to network, you got to network, you got to network. And again, it's not until you've been in this world long enough, or you've been in a career long enough, that you learn what that means or what that looks like. And believe it or not, I was always very shy, very intimidated. I don't want to walk up to anybody. I find that hard to believe, but okay. Say hi and all that kind of stuff. So knowing what I know now, and I mean, you can be the smartest person in the world. I'm sure you'll agree with me. It's all who you know. It always boils down to who you know. That's how doors are open. That's how opportunities are made. And we as Black and brown people are behind the 8 ball with that. We didn't grow up in the country clubs. Mm-hmm. We don't play golf every day with the president of the company and this one and that one. We don't have those.
Our fight's a little harder.
Right. We don't have those natural network circles, even at our job. Everybody goes out for drinks. Well, a lot of Black and brown people, especially women, that's not our thing. We're not going to just, let's go out drinking. Mm-hmm. So I think that I would tell my younger self how important it is to network. Mm-hmm. Even with you. I mean, we met through an unfortunate circumstance. Right. You doing the pamphlets for both of my parents. But I was just so impressed with your work. And it was just, I mean, you don't think about who does that, who makes these, who is that person? And, looking the amazing work that you did, and I'm not just saying that, the amazing work that you did with both was, it was just phenomenal for two people that you've never met. Right. And you were spot on. And I thought, this isn't just a business deal. I would text you hi, and you're probably who's this? But I thought it shouldn't just end with, well, she did a good job business deal. Mm-hmm. This is really someone who, hey, I'm going to say happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Easter, something just to make that connect in that network. And now I'm in your network. You're in my network. I tell people about you. You might need something here. I mean, that's kind of how it's done. Right. And I think breaking it down to the younger Jennifer or the younger people that, that's what this whole mysterious networking thing is. Mm-hmm. It's talking to people and, and
getting past the fear of rejection. Right. Because a lot of times we're scared to go and talk to someone because people are like, it's a shame.
It is.
That folks knew how hard it was for them to get to where they are.
And don't reach
back and don't help. Don't help the next person up.
Had that conversation. And it is a shame. And I actually was doing some research because, I told you I was all nervous about this podcast. So I was doing some research in preparation.
She was traumatized, y'all, but yet she's doing just fine.
In preparation for today. And it was saying how that, and I never thought of it this way, but that some people feel like because they had to work hard to get where they are, they just don't look back and don't care and think that you have to work that hard And it was about Black people, like, especially that's how some of us think. And, it just shouldn't be that way. You need to reach back and help the other person, mentor people when you can. Just like I said, just seeing somebody, going to a school and then, she's got her own business. Oh, my God, whatever your skill set is. You want to be a nurse. You want to be a school teacher. You want to be a landscaper. You want to be an electrician. I was like, maybe I'll go to electrician school when I retire. That seems interesting. Whatever it is you want to do, you need to see someone. It could be as simple as seeing someone doing what you want to do. And I will say my parents did a good job of trying to expose me to that. And in Mercer County, I mean, the affluent, if you want to say, the Black community, the dinners, the banquets, the different clubs that there are. Even as a little girl, I was going to all those dinners and community events and meeting community people and stuff like that. But I want to say it was the words without the music.
Okay.
I didn't understand it, and I don't think you can understand it until you reach a certain level of maturity or time in the workforce to understand what that meant. Like if I could go back now, and probably the young kids know because there's internet. Wasn't no internet when we were coming up
at all.
We didn't know any of that stuff, but now, I mean, I would have been 7. Like, hi, I'm Jennifer Downing. Here's my business card. I want to be this one day. Not knowing that back then. I think that's what I would tell my younger self. Go out there, meet people, say hello, talk to people, tell them what you want to be. Ask them, can they help you get there? Just like you said, what can they say?
Well, the worst thing to say is no.
Is no.
Yeah, and I find that just in all the different things that I do, it's so hard because sometimes I myself gets discouraged because it's like, I'm doing these things that I heard you say do it. Okay, I'm going to do it. But it's like, all right, if I'm doing it, I'm going to need you to send the resources, send the people. Right. So that's going to connect and partner with me to push it forward so it can reach the masses that I know it has the potential to do. And I know people need to hear it. So, Lord, align those kind of people with me. That's not here to take, but here to help. Yeah. Because again, everybody's always got their hand out, or let me see what I can make. What I can make. Okay, they see you want to come up, and even like a lot of times you hear it in the music industry. They see us an artist, and they rob these artists. You hear the stories from these artists, and they hear how these people were robbed from because they knew no knowledge of it. They trusted that because you were in it.
Didn't know they were making 3 cents per song.
Right.
Well, somebody else.
And then they thinking they making. They hear the numbers, and they're like, wait, my check don't add up to your check. Wait a minute. So I remember growing, thank God I had people that I knew that were in the music industry that told me, was like, listen, no, you own your music.
Don't fall for that, right?
You don't let them take the rights to your music. That's where you make your money.
Yes.
You don't do that. Right. So, if somebody actually writes something for them, cool. I own the rights to this song.
So you make
if we're going to do 50-50 split, just know you got this right, but I got this portion of the rights. Don't try and do no funny business. Yeah. And it also develops that level of trust.
Absolutely.
And knowing that you can trust the people that you're trying to do business with or be in partnership with. And, for me, I've always, if I can help somebody not make the same mistakes I've made.
Absolutely.
Then I'm doing my job. I never, because I know how hard it is for me. It was for me to do these things. Right. So like even with, like I'm doing a business event at the end of the year that having panels to talk to people. It's like a business masterclass. Okay. Because I knew what it was for me to start a business. Starting it and not knowing, somebody not guiding me the proper way to start it. Absolutely. And then hindsight finding out that it's not just going to register a business, getting a name and say, hip hip hooray, I'm a business owner. Oh no, there's this thing called the IR of the S. You got to pay, and that lovely state that you're registered in. You got to pay them people. Yes. And if you don't, they know how to come after you.
Compound interest per day.
Right. So it's like, to teach people that. So like I hear people like, oh, I want to start a business. Or I'm like this. Please make sure that you have this, that, and they're like, Yeah. Because I don't want you to make the same mistakes. I don't want you to go down the same path, because everybody tell you to go start a business, but nobody tells you what to do.
Maintain.
Right. How to stay established in it. I'm like, dude, I've been doing this for 18 years. And a lot of people will look at you and be like, You don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, I do.
Even when I have people sit at my desk, it's like, okay, your funeral director told you or somebody told you to come see me. But then you're going to sit here and you're going to tell me how to do my job.
Absolutely.
So I'm confused as to who's the expert here, you or me. Because they told you to call me. I didn't call you. Remember? Yeah. I didn't call you. Yeah. You called me. But, okay, if you know more than I do, they were like, I wish I would listen. Yeah, I wish you would too. This would be a lot easier on everybody.
Ours was so smooth. And it's just such a crazy time. And you was just like, I was technology challenged. But I did it. And
you did it.
Like, here you go. Just say this and this and that. And poof, you worked out magic. And one other thing, too, we talked a little bit about it. I'm not the most religious person, but it has to be your faith. Whatever it is you believe in. I have three. I'm lucky. I have three spiritual leaders. One is a past minister. One is one of my detectives who's a minister. And one is my cousin who's a minister. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I'm a work in progress. So daily, two of the three of them send me a scripture. Uh-huh. And I will admit, that's probably the only way or time I would read it. Mm-hmm. And we talk about it. They're working on me because my one cousin was telling me about forgiveness, and then my detective started telling me about forgiveness. So then I'm telling my cousin the story, and she's like, see, that's two messengers right there. Get the message. So it was just... you have to call on God. I mean, whatever your faith is, you have to know, like, I know that God has given me this strength. He's given me the smarts. He's given me the brains. He's given me the grace. He's given me all that stuff that I need to go out and do whatever it is I will do. So, and you call on him. I mean, it just
listen.
Whatever your faith is, you have to have faith in something.
You really do, because if you're out here operating outside of anything other than your faith, you're just a deer running with no direction.
Absolutely.
And no vision. Yeah, and that's not. You gonna get hit by a vehicle because you just out here running aimlessly and not paying attention to nothing. And again, like, that's the whole reason, one of the very many reasons why I wanted to start this podcast, because I want people to understand that there's somebody that's like you that can tell you, hey, I did it, I overcame it, so can you. Right. And you don't have to be anybody but who you are.
Exactly.
And I think that's just so important. I've spent a long time going through it and, figuring that out and learning how to love me, learning how to just be comfortable in my own skin.
That's a lifelong thing. And that's a recent thing for me because, you don't know, I'm saying, but as a kid, I mean, you're very self-conscious. I was very self-conscious about my looks, I had big feet, I got teeth.
I'm telling you, we're like sister souls.
And that stuff carries with you. Like, to this day, I'm like, no, open those shoes. I mean, there are things that just stick with you. And my mom would be like, you got feet. Some people don't even have feet. What's wrong with you? And it would be so simple. And not that she was a simple person, but she would just come out with these things like, you're right. Like, there's people out here wishing they had feet and legs. I've got 2 feet and I'm worried about how they look. So that process of learning how to love yourself, right. I mean, it's self-affirmations. I have the little Post-its taped to my mirror. I say them every morning. I wake up, Jennifer is beautiful and smart. Jennifer is smart and beautiful. Whichever one you want to say first. Just those little things that, they're little ways that you learn to love yourself. Sometimes I laugh at myself all day long. Like, I did the craziest, silliest thing, and it was like, girl,
sometimes you gotta really laugh at yourself. Like,
you have to laugh at yourself, but I always say, and it's a process to learn. But you can't let the negative voices be louder than that internal voice or that faith. I mean, somebody will say something negative, and you'll just focus on that for days and weeks, and it's like, no. So learning to be kind to yourself, because the world is going to say all these things we talked about, all these bad things about you all day long. But to be kind to yourself, I'm not going to say something bad about myself. The world's going to take care of that.
Absolutely.
She's that. So, like I said, it's a process, but I've been learning to say good things to myself and treat myself and be kind to myself. And that's how you build out your inner strength.
Well, I tell you, this has definitely been one interesting conversation. And again, I thank you so much.
I thank you.
For doing it and being a part of my podcast.
You're very
definitely
welcome.
was a treat. And I definitely believe that so many people that will listen will definitely be blessed to just hear just someone that looks like them, that come from an urban community, and to achieve what you have achieved, which to some may be small, to others may be major, because now it lets them know that I too can be that person. She may be retired, but now I can come up in the rears and maybe try and be like her, you know, and be an achiever, you know, even with all of the things that you felt as though that disqualified you.
Right.
God didn't disqualify you. You were saying you were disqualified, but he said, no, you are qualified for everything that I've placed before you that I know you're more than able to handle. So again, I thank you for that, for this conversation, for this time out of your busy schedule to be a part of that. Before we go, for those that don't know, I will be having a Network and Chew Business Cocktail Social on Friday, May the 19th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Relic on State in Newtown, Pennsylvania. You can find more information on all of our social media platforms, as well as on the website, which is www.myeshaprice.com. There is a small fee. It will be food. It will be people. Bring your business cards. It's calling for all business people who are either looking to get into business, who are currently working in business, or you're working for somebody else. Whatever it is, all are welcome to come be a part that evening. So mark your calendar for that. Hope you attend. You can purchase your tickets on Eventbrite. Before we go, remember to always be who you are, love who you are, and see yourself. Thank you again for listening to this podcast. Thank you, Jennifer, for being a part. And until next time, I'm Myesha, and thanks for joining in.